In 1966, Jaguar built a car that could have beaten Ferrari at Le Mans. It was faster than anything they had ever made. It carried a brand new V12 engine that engineers had spent years developing in secret. It looked like something from a decade in the future, and it never raced. Not once. The car sat hidden in a warehouse for years, unknown to the public, unacknowledged by the company that built it. When Jaguar finally brought it out into the light, their own driver crashed it on a runway. And the car you see in museums today, part of it isn't the original. This is the story of the most important racing car Jaguar ever built, and the decisions that made sure it never mattered. Before anything else, you need to understand what you're looking at, because the XJ13 is not a concept car. It's not a showpiece. It was built to race, built to win, and it looks exactly like something that was designed with only one purpose in mind: going faster than everything else on the planet. The body is a single flowing shell of lightweight aluminium. Low, wide, aggressive, with a roofline so flat it barely clears the driver's helmet. The front is all function, a wide oval intake feeding air directly to the engine, flanked by two small headlight covers that are more suggestion than light source. The rear haunches swell outward over the rear wheels like something tensed and ready to move. There are no unnecessary edges, no decorative details. Every curve exists because removing it would make the car slower. It sits on a monocoque aluminium chassis, the same construction philosophy that Formula One had adopted years earlier, now applied to a Le Mans prototype. The whole car weighs just over 1,000 kilograms. And under that rear clamshell, a 5.0-liter quad-cam V12, Jaguar's first V12, an engine that had never been put into a production car, an engine built specifically, exclusively, for this machine. On the test track at Mira in 1967, it lapped at an average speed of 161 miles per hour. That was a new record for a British circuit. This car was real. This car was ready. And nobody outside of a small group of Jaguar engineers knew it existed. Stick around. To understand why the XJ13 existed at all, you have to go back to 1955. That year, Jaguar won Le Mans for the third time in 5 years. The C-Type and the D-Type had made them the dominant force in endurance racing. Jaguar was not just a car company. They were a symbol of British engineering at its absolute peak. And then they walked away. The official reason was the Le Mans disaster of 1955, the worst accident in motorsport history, where a crash triggered a chain reaction that killed 83 spectators. The racing world went into shock. Several manufacturers withdrew from competition entirely. Jaguar was among them. But Jaguar never really left racing in their minds. Through the late 1950s and into the 1960s, a small group of engineers, led by Chief Engineer William Haynes, began working on something quietly. No press releases, no board announcements. A racing prototype, developed in the background while the company publicly focused on road cars. The brief was simple and enormous at the same time. Build something that can win Le Mans again. The chassis team developed a new aluminium monocoque, advanced construction for a sports prototype at the time. The aerodynamics were shaped in consultation with Malcolm Sayer, the aerospace engineer who had designed the C-Type and D-Type bodies and whose understanding of airflow was decades ahead of most people in the industry. And for the engine, they didn't adapt something existing. They built something entirely new. A V12. Jaguar's first V12 engine was born inside the XJ13 project. Quad camshafts, 5.0 liters, developed purely for racing. The engineers who worked on it knew they were building something that had never existed before Jaguar. They also knew that almost no one in the company was authorized to know about it. The XJ13 that emerged from that secret program was, by any objective measure, extraordinary. The monocoque chassis was fabricated from aluminium alloy, stiff, light, and structurally superior to the ladder frames that most manufacturers were still using in sports car racing at the time. The suspension was fully independent at all four corners, with geometry developed specifically for high-speed stability. Malcolm Sayer's bodywork was the result of genuine aerodynamic calculation, not intuition, not styling instinct, but mathematics applied to airflow. Sayer worked in numbers the way other designers worked in clay. Every surface angle, every curve radius, every transition from one body panel to the next was derived from equations. The result was a car with almost no aerodynamic drag penalty for its size. It slipped through air rather than pushing through it. But the engine was the heart of it. The 5.0-liter quad-cam V12 produced approximately 502 horsepower in its developed form. In a car weighing just over 1,000 kilograms, that gave it a power-to-weight ratio that was genuinely competitive with the best Le Mans prototypes of the era, the Ford GT40, the Ferrari P-Series, the Porsche 906. At Mira, the Motor Industry Research Association test track in Warwickshire, test driver Norman Dewis pushed the XJ13 to speeds that shocked everyone present. The 161 miles per hour lap average wasn't a one-time run. It was a sustained pace over multiple laps. Dewis, who had tested every significant Jaguar for decades, said afterward that it was the finest car he had ever driven. So why wasn't it at Le Mans in 1967? Here is where the story stops being about engineering and starts being about something else entirely. In 1966, while the XJ13 was still being developed, Ford entered Le Mans with the GT40 MKI. 7 cars. An army of American money and aerospace engineering thrown at a race circuit in France. Ford finished first, second, and third. The message was unmistakable. Le Mans had changed. The cost of being competitive had just increased by an order of magnitude. At the same time, Jaguar was navigating a corporate merger. In 1966, the British Motor Corporation absorbed Jaguar into what would eventually become British Leyland, a sprawling, underfunded, politically complicated industrial organization that would spend the next decade slowly destroying almost every brand it touched. The men making financial decisions at the new combined entity looked at the XJ13 program and made a calculation. The car wasn't ready for 1966. Getting it ready for 1967 would require significant investment. And even then, against Ford's resources, against Ferrari's factory effort, against Porsche's growing program, the chances of winning weren't guaranteed. The money was needed elsewhere. The XJ13 program was quietly shelved. No announcement, no press conference, no acknowledgement that the project had ever existed. The car was rolled into storage at the Jaguar factory in Coventry, and the engineers who had built it went back to working on road cars. William Haynes, the chief engineer who had championed the project, retired in 1969. He never saw his car race. The XJ13 sat in that factory for years, covered, silent, the fastest car Jaguar had ever built, going nowhere. In 1971, Jaguar decided to bring the XJ13 out of storage, not to race it, not to develop it further, but to film it. The company was preparing promotional material for the launch of their new E-Type V12, the road car that would finally carry a version of the engine developed for the XJ13. Someone decided it would make good footage to show the racing prototype alongside the new production car. A visual connection between the racing heritage and the new product. The filming location was the Mira Banked Oval, the same track where Norman Dewis had set his speed records for years earlier. The driver was David Hobbs, an experienced racing driver with an international career. He knew what he was doing. But the XJ13 had been in storage for years. The tires were old. The car had not been properly recommissioned for high-speed running. And on the banked oval, running at speed, a tire failed. The car went into the bank. The XJ13, the only one ever built, the irreplaceable product of years of secret development, was destroyed. Hobbs walked away. That part, at least, went right. But the car was gone. Crumpled aluminium and a broken chassis, wrecked for a promotional video that no one remembers. The engineering team that had built it were, by multiple accounts, devastated. Jaguar made the decision to rebuild it. The wreckage was assessed. The monocoque chassis, the structural core of the car, was damaged beyond practical repair. New panels were fabricated. Sections were reconstructed. The engine, which had survived in better condition than the body, was retained. The rebuilt XJ13 was completed and has been displayed at events and museums ever since. It still runs. It still sounds exactly like what it is, a 5.0-liter V12 built for racing, with a voice unlike anything Jaguar ever put into a road car. But here's the question that hangs over it. How much of what exists today is the original car? The chassis, largely reconstructed. The body panels, replaced. The engine, original, or at least significantly original. In philosophy, there's a thought experiment called the ship of Theseus. If you replace every plank of a ship one by one, is it still the same ship? The XJ13 in the Jaguar Heritage Collection is, without question, a XJ13. Whether it is the XJ13, the specific object that Norman Dewis drove to 161 miles per hour in 1967, the object that William Haynes spent years of his career building, is a harder question. It's not a fake, it's not a replica, but it's also not entirely the thing it claims to be. And that, somehow, feels appropriate. A car that was never allowed to be what it was built to be, now existing in a form that isn't entirely what it appears to be. The XJ13 has been defined by almost-ness from the beginning. The Jaguar XJ13 never raced because of a merger, because of a budget meeting, because somewhere in a corporate reorganization, the people with the vision were replaced by the people with the spreadsheets. That's not a unique story in the car industry. It happens constantly. Projects get killed. Engineers get overruled. Accountants win. But the XJ13 is one of the purest examples of it, because the car itself was genuinely competitive. This wasn't a romantic failure, a brave attempt by an underdog that was simply outclassed. The mirror lap times said it clearly. This car belonged at Le Mans. It just never got there. William Haynes spent years of his life on this project. Malcolm Sayer shaped every surface of it with mathematical precision. Norman Dewis pushed it to speeds that made history on a test track in Warwickshire, and the boardroom decided it was inconvenient. There's a version of the 1967 Sierra Leone in Lyons Mans where a dark blue Jaguar with a V12 engine lines up on the grid alongside the Ford GT40S and the Ferrari P4S. That race was never run, but the car exists. Rebuilt, partly reconstructed, occasionally started and driven at events where crowds gathered just to hear that engine run. It sounds like something that was never given its moment, because it wasn't.